Let's get something straight right now. Sonic is awesome. I've loved this little blue guy for as long as I can remember. In fact, this month marks the 10th anniversary of when I first became a Sonic fan. I've been playing the Hedgehog's game since December of 2003 when my cousin introduced me to Sonic Adventure 2. The rest is history. Sonic is not only responsible for some of my greatest childhood memories, but his colorful cast of characters continues to inspire me to this day as I delve into the world of filmmaking and animation. I'm gonna put these guys to good use in my upcoming fan projects, because to me, Sonic's friends are just as important as the Blue Hedgehog himself, who's been keeping all the attention for himself in his more recent games. I don't mind that too much because he's Sonic, but what's a main character without some supporting characters to back him up? The new writers for the game seem to do a great job with character interactions, but all they've really been working with so far are Sonic, Tails, and Dr. Eggman. Imagine how cool the stories would be with more furry dudes and dudettes to keep things interesting. Unfortunately, over the years, Sonic's friends have gotten a lot of mixed reception among critics and hardcore fans, but I'm one of the rare guys out there who really gets a kick out of these guys. Sonic's friends and rivals don't get nearly enough love these days, so today, I'm going to be counting down the ones I like the most. If I find a character underrated, potentially great for future stories, or just plain cool, he or she will probably be on this list. This is NerdWord Entertainment's Top 10 Best Sonic Characters. Now, here's the catch. Sonic the Hedgehog himself will not be on this list. If he were, he'd be the obvious choice for number 1. I'll acknowledge right now that Sonic is my favorite character from his own series. Thing is, this list isn't about him. Like I said, he already gets all the love and attention. I will be talking about him in this video, but he won't be getting his own spot on the list. That just doesn't seem fair to me. So yeah, the number 1 character on this list will be someone other than Sonic, so be prepared for that. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Number 10. Metal Sonic is a pretty simple character, but an effective one. Created by Dr. Eggman, Metal Sonic is exactly what his name says he is. He's a robot Sonic, and was created for the sole purpose of beating the Blue Hedgehog at his own game. He made his first appearance in Sonic CD, when he was pretty much just a lifeless drone. But my first experience with the Blue Robot was through his appearance in the Sonic the Hedgehog anime, in which he was programmed with a copy of Sonic's actual life data. This not only managed to give Metal the same speed and agility as Sonic, but even the same snarky attitude. This version of Metal Sonic seems to be the one that carried over into Sonic Heroes. I know these two things aren't connected, but come on, it's hard not to draw parallels. Metal Sonic has always been an intimidating villain, and it's good to see such a consistently great rival character in this series. Only reason he's barely on the list is because, outside of the anime and Heroes, he's pretty much what he was in CD, a drone, and not much of a character. But at this point, I'm okay with that. With Heroes, he's had somewhat of a complete character arc at this point, so he has had his time to shine. Number 9. Here's a quick riddle for you. What do you get when you mix Sonic, Trunks, and Tetsuo? A telekinetic hedgehog from the future, that's who, you silly goose. Silver the Hedgehog is one of the more polarizing characters in the Sonic franchise, and gee, I wonder why. It really does bite that Silver made his debut in such an infamous game, especially one with an ending that pretty much wiped him out of the series' continuity. I'm not even joking. Silver was literally erased from existence in the very same game that introduced him. Or at least he would have been, but for some reason he's still in some of the spin-off games. And he's even in Sonic Generations, a main series game. This makes no sense. Do the executives or whoever want Silver to stick around, or don't they? In addition to this, we've never gotten the chance to play as Silver in a way that's actually fun. Not to mention all the trouble that he caused us early on in Sonic 06.
How do I see where he is? Is there a way to lock on to... Gosh! Fart!
This guy has everything going against him, but that's not Silver's fault, it's Sonic 06's. Well, what are you gonna do? At this point, I guess there would be nothing to do to prove that Silver could be the next great new character in the Sonic series. But then something happened. Starting off as an absolute joke of a character who was forgotten in an instant, Silver managed to make his triumphant return as the absolute best boss fight in Sonic Generations. Now this made me interested in this guy. Now I actually want to play as him again. I mean, imagine a Sonic character who could do all of this in regular gameplay. I don't think Silver can really do much for the stories at this point, but I think he'd make a great playable avatar if done right. Everything I hated about him before has been forgiven, and now I think Silver is awesome. But still, how the heck is he still here?
Number 8!
There are tons of Sonic characters who get hated by critics and fanboys and such, but is there really anybody out there who hates the Chaotix? This 3-man detective agency has always been full of win, no matter what game they appear in. These guys are absolutely hilarious, and yes, I am putting all 3 members of the team on one spot on this list. There's no way I'm choosing between them because 1, they almost always stick together as a single unit, and 2, it's impossible to pick my favorite out of the 3. They're all just so great because of how unique they are. I know it seems like Espio is the obvious choice, but I have just as many reasons for loving Vector and Charmy. Vector is the big, goofy, strong leader of the group, while Charmy is the annoying little kid whose interactions with Vector are priceless.
Sure, leave it to Sonic to mingle with a bunch of mental movie people. So shallow.
You're jealous?
You bet. Who asked you, Charmy?
I got you that time, didn't I?
And of course, Espio is a ninja who throws ninja blades. Need I say anything more? There's so much diversity among this group of 3 characters, yet they all go together so well. Might I also point out that these are some of the most creatively designed characters in the Sonic series. Out of all these 3 characters, none of them are mammals. I always thought that was pretty cool. Unlike Silver, I don't really care about playing as these guys so much as I want to see them in another story. They're detectives, and any story involving some kind of mystery is always a little bit more interesting. Just don't let them sing.
Number 7!
I'm gonna make this perfectly clear right now. Anyone who can punch the Chaos Emeralds out of Supersonic deserves a spot on this list. Aw yeah, the good old Echidna himself, Knuckles. Talk about a fan favorite character. When I was a kid playing with my friends at recess, we would always roleplay as Sonic characters and my friends would always fight over who got to be Knuckles. Can you blame them? Back in the day, Knuckles was the coolest guy around. He's the main thing we all remember from Sonic 3, and his cheesy rap songs have been a guilty pleasure of a generation.
The new porcupine on the block with the buff chest, out the wilderness with the ruggedness. Knock knock is Knuckles, the blow thrower, independent flower, magical emerald holder. Give you the coldest shoulder, my spike goes through boulders. That's why I stay alone. I was born by myself. I don't need a posse, I get it on by myself. Adversaries get shelved. Right on.
Just like Sonic, Knuckles is a character I find likable because of his simplicity. He's a primary color, and he performs basically like Sonic, only he's stronger. That, and he can break the laws of physics in at least 2 ways. Knuckles is one of the rare Sonic characters who can hold his own without any help from the main hero. All of these things are what make him cool, and he sure would have been higher on this list if it weren't for the way he's been treated in the newer games and in the Sonic X anime. He used to be a cool and strong loner, but now he's just a short-tempered idiot who often gets shoved to the side in favor of the now very overpowered Sonic. I just don't like Knuckles that much anymore, but he's still on the list because of how great he used to be. Look at that, he just punches the daggone Chaos Emeralds out of him, it's just awesome!
Number 6!
I love seeing girl characters who are every bit as cool as the male heroes. Blaze the Cat fits this concept to a T. Blaze is a princess from another dimension, yet she has somehow gotten involved with Sonic more than 3 times now. I'd say her backstory is even more confusing than Silver's because it was retconned and then retconned again. Even though it is strange to see her hanging around Sonic and friends when it makes no sense, it's still always a great time. Blaze is one of the best character avatars the series has ever seen. Blaze has been playable in 3 of the 4 games she's appeared in, and she stole the show every time. She is essentially a female Sonic, and that's just fantastic in of itself. It's all she really needs to be in order to satisfy me, but she even goes the extra mile in being an all-around good character. I love her design, she has cool mannerisms, and she even has the power of fire! She's also actually one of the deeper characters in the series, with her introverted personality and all, and she even had a full character arc in Sonic Rush. But even with all of that said, what matters most to me is that she is the only rival that Sonic has ever had that's a girl. If you ask me, she should be a staple in the series, and appear in every game possible as a playable avatar.
Number 5.
He's been with Sonic since the beginning, and he made his debut in one of my favorite video games of all time. Number 5 is Tails the Fox. Whoever at Sega had the idea to glue an extra tail to a fox and call it a Sonic character was either drunk out of his mind or just an absolute genius. Maybe both. Tails has been Sonic's best friend and sidekick since Sonic 2, and he's been a fun and charming alternative to the Hedgehog in almost every game since, at least until the 2000s. Tails was at his best in Sonic 3 and Sonic Adventure, where he was pretty much superior to Sonic because of his flying ability and melee attacks. Just like Knuckles, Tails isn't as cool as he used to be, but in my opinion, he has aged a lot better. Despite not being playable in a while, he's still relevant to the story of most of the games. He took a major nosedive in the 2000s.
This is terrible!
But those dark days are over, and I'm finally starting to love him again. Sure, he is just a techno-geek sidekick nowadays, but the current writers and voice actress have managed to keep Tails cool by giving him really fun interactions with Sonic. I absolutely love Tails in the cutscenes for Sonic Lost World, and I hope his dialogue stays this witty in future games. Guys, just make him playable again and I am all good!
Number 4.
You're all gonna hate me for this one, I know. Putting Rouge the Bat higher than both Tails and Knuckles is a pretty ballsy thing to do, but I'm doing it, cause I can! This is my list! But seriously though, I'm gonna say right now that Rouge the Bat is, in my opinion, the most underrated character in Sonic the Hedgehog. Rouge the Bat is a voluptuous secret agent of GUN, a military organization introduced in Sonic Adventure 2. She pretty much has all the same cool abilities as Knuckles, but only with a bit more style. Instead of punching her way through baddies, she uses her feet! Just like the Chaotix, Rouge is a character I like because of how she spices up any story she's in. She's sassy, so she manages to be both cool and funny, especially in her interactions with other characters. Whether it be flirting with Knuckles, doing spy stuff with Shadow, or playfully bantering with Tails, I always get a laugh out of whatever this busty bat does or says. She's also another character that I've grown to love because of how well she was handled in Sonic Generations. She was responsible for some of the most memorable missions in the game, whether they be frustrating or just plain hilarious. That, and her current voice actress, is simply phenomenal.
Fine. Ooh, you over there. You here by yourself, handsome?
She brings out all the feistiness and sexiness out of the character in a way that her previous actresses never could. Just like in Tails' case, the new voice portrayal of Rouge is a huge part of why I like her so much nowadays. Come on guys, whoever makes these kinds of decisions, please just put Rouge in the next Sonic game and make her a part of the story. I don't care if her boobies make some people uncomfortable, just do it! And I think they're pretty nice myself.
Number 3.
When you have a blue hedgehog with red shoes and cool hair as your main character, it's only logical for his arch nemesis to be a fat human scientist who wears primary colors! I mean, come on, it makes so much sense. Dr. Eggman is one of my favorite villains of all time. He's one of the greatest things to come out of this series, but not because he's a good villain, no. Despite some of his schemes and inventions actually being pretty dang good, I was never able to take this mustachioed scientist seriously. He's just such a silly villain I can't help but love him. He's supposed to have a crazy high IQ, but it really is hard to figure out just how smart this dude really is. One minute he creates something awesome like Metal Sonic or the Death Egg, and the next he's fighting you in a robotic slot machine. Eggman is so all over the place, and I guess that's a part of what makes him so entertaining. He's unpredictable, and I love that in a villain. Also, if there is anyone who has benefited from the new writers and voice cast for the series, it's this guy. I've had my fair share of issues with the other characters when it comes to this new overly lighthearted tone that the series has taken recently, but for Eggman, it just works. And of course, Eggman's voice portrayal by Mike Pollock allows for what is simply the best voice work in the series, and it's only made better by his cleverly written interactions with Sonic and Tails in Sonic Colors, Generations, and Lost World. He is the best character in all of the recent games as of now, with no other character, not even Sonic himself, delivering nearly as memorable dialogue or as many iconic moments. Dr. Eggman, especially as he is now, is the perfect nemesis for Sonic, offering the perfect combo of both silly and intimidating. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Eggman has been absolutely perfected, and I have no complaints or suggestions. Just make sure that Orbot and Cubot stick around as well, because they only add to the shenanigans that he brings.
Number 2.
I don't care what you tell me. Amy Rose is one of the most brilliant characters this series has ever seen. I'm not joking. First appearing in Sonic CD, Amy is the love interest character of the series, with a twist. She's not Sonic's love interest per se, but rather it's the other way around. Amy is crazy about Sonic, and does whatever she can to either get his attention or just chase him down. She even considers herself to be his girlfriend, although Sonic has shown next to no interest in that kind of relationship. Amy isn't Sonic's girlfriend, Amy is the original Sonic fangirl. There are tons of people like this in the real world today, whether it be in terms of Sonic or something else. And to see one that actually exists within this series just brings a smile to my face. Amy is the most unconventional love interest character I've ever seen, and that's why I think she's so ingenious. Aside from that, she's an exaggeration of the stereotypical teenage girl, in that she's hyperactive and over-emotional. I always love seeing female characters that act like this. Most people may see it as annoying and despise Amy as a result, but that's the joke, come on, Amy is supposed to be annoying. Oh, and her special ability? Totally awesome.
She pulls a giant hammer out of her panties!
But hey, I'd expect nothing less from her. Amy was at her best in Sonic X, or more specifically, the English dub for Sonic X, where she was voiced by Lisa Ortiz, better known as the voice of Lino from Slayers. Ortiz was the best thing to come out of the 4Kids group, even better than Mike Pollock as Dr. Eggman in my opinion.
I'll take care of it, Chris. These folks will show me where Sonic's being held. When he sees me coming, his heart will start pounding faster than my hammer. Thanks for saving me, Amy. My pleasure, Sonic. Amy, you're the most beautiful girl in the universe. Oh, Sonic, really? Now I see what a fool I've been for waiting so long, Amy. Will you marry me? Oh, Sonic, of course I will.
Excuse me?
Is that you, Sonic?
No, it's me, Chris! We have to rescue Sonic right away, Amy!
What do you mean, we? I don't need a chaperone.
Unfortunately, just like with most of the other characters, Amy's previous voice has been replaced with one that's inferior to say the least.
This is all because you were dragging your tail, Vector! Now you'd better talk us out of this mess!
Everyone else has already made the Minnie Mouse comparison, so I'm not even gonna make a joke about that. It's just bad. In addition to her new voice actress, Amy has been horribly underwhelming as a character in recent games. It was great to see her in Sonic Lost World, but she didn't do anything, and I found that to be such a missed opportunity. Here's to hoping that Amy gets the attention she deserves in future games, and in the upcoming cartoon. Alright guys, 9 characters down and 1 more to go, but first, let's do a quick recap. Number 10, Metal Sonic. Number 9, Silver. Number 8, the Chaotix. Number 7, Knuckles. Number 6, Blaze the Cat. Number 5, Tails. Number 4, Rouge the Bat. Number 3, Dr. Eggman. Number 2, Amy Rose.
And finally, number 1.
You all know who it is.
Before this is over, I'll show you the true power of chaos control!
Sonic's greatest rival of all time, Shadow the Hedgehog. Guys, I really wanted to put Amy at the top of the list. I really did. I did not want to put Shadow on top because I didn't want this list to come off as too predictable or generic, and I didn't want to look like too much of a fanboy. But you know what? Call me what I am. Shadow is my boy. He always has been, and I'm never going to give him second place to someone else, no matter how many times I think I need to. I've loved Shadow far too long and far too much to do something like that to him. He's staying far up at the top of this list, and that's just how it has to be. I love Shadow so much. He was the first Sonic character I ever laid eyes on, other than Sonic himself, of course. When I first saw his famous introductory cutscene in Sonic Adventure 2, I knew this guy was going to be an awesome villain. Now, I love seeing dark doppelgangers and rivals for the main characters, but Shadow is special because he takes it the extra mile. He is his own independent being with his own story to tell. In fact, from a personality standpoint, he's probably the deepest character in the series. I wouldn't usually expect something like this from doppelganger characters, but hey, I guess that's just part of what makes Shadow so great. And despite being so different from Sonic on the inside, the whole rival aspect of Shadow still totally works because of what he's got going on the outside. He looks like Sonic, and he has all of Sonic's trademark abilities, and more. Shadow is a very layered character because he is both a counterpart to Sonic and his own separate individual. Shadow was a big part of why I loved Sonic Adventure 2 so much. Whether it be playing as him in Radical Highway and Skyrail, his epic final showdown with Sonic, or even his ultimate sacrifice in the end of the game, Shadow was responsible for every single iconic moment in one of my favorite Sonic games. And of course, you gotta love his Chaos powers. At first, Shadow was intended to be a one-shot character, which is made obvious by his death. But because of Shadow's popularity, he was brought back in Sonic Heroes. He would then become a mainstay in several games, even getting his own game that further explained his origins and the reason why he was still alive. Ironically, Shadow the Hedgehog was a game that gave us the absolute worst of what this character had to offer, and nearly destroyed his reputation, complete with a stupid and unnecessary story, an unlikable emo-gothic gun-toting Shadow, and aliens. Aliens. This game made me lose all faith in the character, but there turned out to be a glimmer of hope for him in Sonic 06. Yes, the game that ruined everything that was cool about Sonic and his friends actually managed to get Shadow right. In that game, he was rewritten into the story as a secret agent of GUN, just like Rouge, and honestly, I think that's a good role for him. He was also pretty much the straight man for a change, kinda like he was in Sonic Heroes. What I'm basically saying here is, I found Shadow to be cool and pleasant more times than not, and one horrible game is not going to stop me from loving this character, especially after that one time where he was especially great. I still see Shadow as the best rival character in this series, complete with the same incredible speed as Sonic, a unique design and color scheme, crazy awesome superpowers, and when his developmental moments are good, they're really good. He has had his weak points, but no matter what, I will always see Shadow as the coolest of all the Sonic characters. In fact, I'd even say he's tied with Sonic himself as my personal favorite. Unfortunately, Sonic 06 turned out to be that last nail in the coffin for just about every single one of the modern Sonic characters. Since then, we haven't really been seeing much of them other than their appearances in Sonic Generations. There is just a certain group of characters that Sega seems to be showing no interest in bringing back in future stories, and unfortunately, Shadow falls under this category. This is a shame because I think that he could be a huge hit if they brought him back. Shadow is a character that still shows so much potential in my opinion, and I think that if the writers did enough of their homework and tried hard enough, they can make him great again. Only question is, how exactly are they going to do that? Well, my first suggestion is, just don't overdo him. Shadow's character arc is officially over. Heck, it's more than over. So now I'd love for them to focus on making him a great supporting character again. He doesn't have to be the center of the story. He's already had his chance to do that. Give Shadow a slightly more upbeat attitude, so that he can fit in a little bit better with these other characters in this more cartoonish universe that we've been seeing as of late. Besides, he has no reason to mope around anymore. Let Shadow be a little bit more fun, while still letting him keep his original character traits of being determined and fierce. I'm not asking for him to be a goofball like Sonic, just a toned-down, straight-man version of the same thing. Have you seen Shadow in the Archie comics? He's actually a pretty cool guy. I would love to see that Shadow in the games. And with that said, let Shadow keep his job as a GUN agent, and have him get involved in mysteries with Rouge and maybe the Chaotix. And of course, I'd love to see a return of the bitter rivalry between Shadow and Sonic. I want to see Shadow grow closer to Sonic as a friend and ally, while still being in a constant state of competition with him, kinda like what happened with Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. Oh, and please get Johnny Young Bosch or someone else to do the voice. I can only stand so many lines like,
"You've got this, Sonic."
In terms of gameplay, that's simple. Just make Shadow a clone of Sonic, but trade one of Sonic's usual abilities for Shadow's Chaos powers, and you're all good. So yeah, what I've basically been trying to say all this time is, Shadow can still be relevant in the Sonic universe. Not only in story, but also in gameplay. There was once a time when Shadow was one of the most popular characters in the Sonic series, and I truly believe that if Sega were to bring him back into the mainstream, he could once again be just that. And there you have it, folks, my top 10 favorite Sonic characters. I hope you all enjoyed it. I sure had a fun time making it. Finding clips and editing this video together brought back a huge nostalgia rush for me. But one last thing before I go. Allow me a minute to talk about Sonic himself and my stance on him as a character in today's world. It seems to me that Sonic is always changing depending on the current era and the voice actor playing him. Drummond Sonic was a happy-go-lucky teenager who wasn't afraid to show his serious side when he really needed to. This is the Sonic I always loved the most. Griffith Sonic, aka Anime Sonic, was a hedgehog who was more serious, didn't speak nearly as much, and usually let his actions speak for him. Fast forward to now and we have Smith Sonic, who almost feels like a new take on Drummond Sonic, only now his attitude has been exaggerated through the roof. Sonic is now a massive smart aleck and even a big jerk sometimes. I've found things to love about every version of Sonic that we've had over the years, but the one that we have now is one that I think shows the most potential. However, this potential can go in one of two ways, depending on how the writers handle him from here. Sonic's personality has become much more pronounced in order to give the character a new sense of comic effect. This can either be his greatest strength or his most fatal flaw, as evidenced by his last few games. Sonic annoyed the crap out of me in Colors and was somewhat tolerable in the cutscenes for Generations. Smith and the new writers are getting the hang of this character, but they can't be afraid to take inspiration from the past and show Sonic in a more serious light. I don't want Sonic to be a borderline two-dimensional, snarky, overpowered goofball who never has a bad day, like he's shaping up to be. Sonic's personality and emotions are what set him apart from all of the other platforming greats. All of those other guys bore me to tears, and I feel as though Sonic is turning out the same way. Throughout this video, I've made several points about how once great characters have been handled poorly in the past few years, but when I see it happening to the Blue Blur, I know something's seriously wrong. But like I said, this Sonic shows potential to be amazing, and thankfully, he is getting better. The recently released Sonic Lost World featured the same overconfident hedgehog from the last two games, but also contained some more serious moments that show off Sonic's more emotional side. It's not much, but it is there. The cutscenes in this game have finally given me a glimmer of hope for the future. Now all I think Sonic needs is more moments like this, a little bit of cooldown time every now and then, and more characters to interact with. I think these changes can not only make Smith Sonic better, but also bring out the best of what Drummond Sonic and Griffith Sonic had to offer, giving us the perfect mashup of all the things that have made Sonic a cool character over the years, thus resulting in a near-perfect Sonic. The new guys behind the stories for the game still have a ways to go, but I'm starting to see the possibility for Sonic to once again become the same hedgehog I know and love, or maybe even something better. Don't let me down, Sega. Sonic team, the story writers, the voice actors, especially you, Roger Craig Smith. I know you all can work together to put together a new Sonic game that not only satisfies me as I play it, but also while I sit back to enjoy the cartoony shenanigans of my favorite characters between levels. I have always seen Sonic as one of the most brilliant characters in all of kids' entertainment, because you could do so much with him. In addition to the creative design his best games have brought us, Sonic has the potential to excel in the realms of action, comedy, thrills, and drama. The men and women behind his new outings are still trying to get their bearings on where to take the famous blue hedgehog from here, but hey, I've been a rabid Sonic fanboy for 10 years now, so until the day that happens, and even after that, I'll stick with him through the highs and the lows like I always have. Besides, I have faith that no matter what, Sonic's gonna be around for a very long time, and I can't wait to see where he goes next.